The Pink Pulpits Podcast, the gospel according to her. The Pink Pulpits Podcast explores the living, learning, and leading of women in the 21st century. How does the modern woman handle the world the gospel way? This podcast is for women in ministry, women surrounded by ministry, and so many more. Join us weekly on Saturdays at 6 p.m. for the Pink Pulpits Podcast, the gospel according to her.
Hey, ladies, and to some of our gents, because you all are locked in and you are part of the Pink Pulpit Podcast community. I shout you out and I welcome you to another episode. I am your host of this awesome platform that God has given us called the Pink Pulpit Podcast. But I'm Lady Nicole Green, your faith chick, your faith coach, the woman I believe has been assigned to help navigate you and press you towards all things that God has for your life, but to do it in faith. And so, this last week we were talking about she's no longer carrying, right? And that we are she. I am she. And so today, as we get ready for the purge, I'll talk to you about that a little more. For those who say the purge, what is that? Is that a movie? It is a movie, but it's something else too. Today's conversation is one that I live a part of my overall ministry on when I talk about being unstuck and unstoppable, because I really believe that you can rewrite your story. You can rewrite your narrative. You can change whatever chapter you may be in, or even the book that you may have been living in, and make a decision to change it. So I want to talk to you today about she rewrites her story. I know you're saying to yourself, can I rewrite where I am? Can I change where I am? Or if I am already living in an elevated stance, can it be greater than this? And the answer for you is yes. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she has to decide something. Today is that conversation. Because you must decide, will I spend my life explaining my pain, talking about it, rehearsing it, or will I spend my life rewriting my story? The truth is, many of women all around the world are brilliant. You all are gifted. You're powerful. You're anointed. You got swag. You are gorgeous, but still live under a narrative that God never wrote. So women are living under the narrative of rejection, under the narrative of betrayal, under the narrative of failure, or even shame. And the enemy loves when you repeat the wrong story. Because whoever controls the narrative controls the future. I say this to a lot of women that I pastor, or that even I coach, that have given me a responsibility in their life, a footholding in their lives. And part of this for me, I had several friends of mine that were dealing with issues, and I said, hey, you need to establish what the narrative is. You need to make a decision of what is the narrative going to say and what is the narrative going to be. And you have to recognize that whoever controls that narrative can control the future. So during this Women's History Month, I love to say that we're in Women's History Month, you guys. The history has taught a lot of us something really powerful. History shifts when women decide this ends with me. Today, we're talking about how faith-filled women rewrite the narrative of their stories. And as we count down to the purge, I want to help all of us understand something. You are not just releasing pain. You're not just letting something go. You are rewriting the story. You're rewriting the chapter. Because can I, for one moment, say to you, stop rehearsing the wrong story? I know you're saying, Lady Nicole, we're talking about this. Yes, I want you to stop rehearsing. Stop talking about it. Stop learning the lines for what is something wrong. That is not the narrative. That is not your story. Many of us stay stuck because we keep the narrative of the wrong version of our lives. We keep saying, I've always struggled. My family never had anything. Nothing ever works out for me. I've always been overlooked. Who is that person? Because faith does not rehearse pain. Faith rehearses promises. 2 Corinthians 5:7, for we walk by faith and not by sight. Sight says what happened. Faith says what God says. And I say that to you a lot, but I need you to really hear, because a lot of us keep saying and speaking things that aren't true. Job 3 tells us, let the weak say, I am strong. Notice something really powerful. God didn't tell the weak to feel strong. He told us to say, I am strong. Because the narrative changes before the reality changes. And if you keep narrating the wrong story, you keep living the wrong life. But rewriting the narrative isn't just about changing what you say. It's deciding who gets to define what it is you're living. Can I tell you, I am a label chick. Yes, I am. I love labels, and I won't apologize. I'm not going to try to deny it, and I'm not going to try to make it sound good. I like labels. I am a label hog. I am a label chick. You will find me always in labels. Say there, I said it. But in this moment, I want you to refuse labels that God didn't give you. Many women are living under labels that they never should have accepted in the first place. Broken, too old, too late. Can we talk about it? Not enough, single mother, unqualified. But God never called you your situation. You remember me telling you last week when Naomi says, call me Mara, for the Lord has dealt bitterly with me. God called us his daughters. And Isaiah 62:2 says, you shall be called by a new name, which the mouth of the Lord will name. God is in the renaming business. You remember Abram to Abraham, Sarai to Sarah, Simon to Peter. But when God renames you, he not only renames us, he repositions us. The enemy labels you by your past, and God names you by your purpose. You got to allow God to rename you in whatever stage of life you may be in. But renaming your life is only the first step. The real transformation happens when you decide your pain will not be your permanent address. Pain may visit your life. Pain may hit your life. Pain may show up in your life, but it doesn't get to live there. It doesn't get to set up residence. It doesn't get to stay. And too many women build a house around a season that was only meant to pass. We're going past, we're going through it. Don't build your house on bitterness or a house on regret or a house on shame. God never designed us to live in our pain. Psalms 35 says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hear this. Weeping endures, but joy comes. That was so good. I am going to shout and say it again. Weeping endures, but joy comes. Which means pain has an expiration date. Pain cannot stay forever. Pain may have knocked on the door, but it does not get a permanent key to keep access in your life. And that leads me to this truth, this great final truth that women have to understand. You cannot rewrite your story without this final decision. Faith is the pen that writes your next chapter. Faith is the pen. Faith is the pen you have to pick up. Faith is the pen you have to decide I'm going to live in. Faith has to change your mindset, has to change your heart posture, has to change you. Your past may have written some chapters, but faith writes the rest of the story. It writes the rest of the book. Hebrews 11:1, one of my favorite verses. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And faith says your story is not over. Faith says God still is in the redeeming business. Faith says the next chapter you have will look different. And that's why I believe the purge matters so. Because when you release the weight of the past, your hands are free to write something new. You're free to live something new. You cannot hold the past in one hand and write the future in the other. Something has to be released. Something. Can I say that? Something has to be released. And ladies, let me say this to every woman listening right now and that will be listening in the future. Your story is not over. This is not the whole of it. Yes, something happened. Yes, something hurt. Something may not be feeling right. You may be on a path that you may not even known about. Something in your heart may have been broken. Something tried to redefine you. Or you may be just saying, this path I've never walked through before. Can you hear me clearly today? God never lets pain write the final chapter. And the enemy thought that you were going to get hooked up and hung up because that betrayal was going to finish you. Or the enemy thought the disappointment was going to keep you silent. I want you to yell in this moment. Ah, yell. Because the enemy thought the heartbreak was going to shrink you. The enemy thought that everything that was written was going to be how your life was going to be. But God is about to use all of it, even where you may feel the greatest, to continue to build you up. And you cannot walk into this next season carrying stories that were never meant to define you. And that story that disappointed you, that abandonment, even the loss. Don't let grief define you, because the truth of the matter is the story is still being written. And that's why the purge is coming. Not because we're dramatic, but because something you have to release so that God can restore what he promised in you. So as we count down to that day, I want to ask you, and I want you to ask yourself, what chapter of my life is God ready to rewrite? Because the next chapter of your life will not be written with pain. It will be written with faith. And ladies, faith always rewrites a better ending. And that's why I believe something powerful is about to happen at the purge this year. Because women, we're carrying some stuff. Weight, wounds, shame, pounds, disappointment. You heard me, grief. But you're going to be leaving carrying such great new things like clarity and healing and confidence and faith and boldness and fight and tenacity and unwavering belief in the power that lies on the inside of you. You're going to be carrying a brand new narrative, because when a woman decides she will no longer live under this story, history has to shift. That's what this Women's History Month is all about. We shifted things. We broke ceilings. We dared to do it. And I believe there are women listening right now who are about to step into a chapter that they will look nothing like the last chapter they came out of. So I want you to do something with me right now. Say this out loud wherever you are. My story is not finished. Say it again. My story is not finished. You are authoring a new version of all of everything that God established and God wants to do. And as you continue counting down the purge with me, the exchange, remember releasing pain for promise, I want you to come ready. Those of you saying, how do I come ready? Go to nomoresillywomen.org. How much is it? Free. And ready to release, ready to exchange, ready to step into the chapter God has been waiting to write for us. The next chapter of your life is going to be amazing. It's going to be extraordinary. It's going to be what you've been wanting, what you've been thinking, what you've been desiring. Man, this is going to be a powerful new book, a new version, a new opportunity, a new timetable. I can't wait to see how you rewrite your story, how you rewrite where you're going and how you're going, and establishing these new chapters in a way that sets you on a new course that elevates and propels. Today's conversation for me, for you, is the book is not exactly where you want it to be. And what I'm saying to you in this moment is you get to take it to another level. And this podcast is for so many women in so many different places of life. You're rewriting always. I'm rewriting. Even as I started out this year, the devil established a different narrative that he was getting ready to take me down. And I was determined, nope, I'm rewriting. Nope, I'm scratching that out. Nope, nope, nope. And every day you get an opportunity to rewrite. You get an opportunity to write. You get an opportunity to carve out a new path and carve out a new narrative and to carve out what this is supposed to be for you, for your family, for your health. As we're talking and talking about this conversation, some of us need to rewrite the chapter of our health. You may be saying, hey, I've been wanting to lose weight. I've been wanting to feel better. I've been wanting to do something new, do a marathon. Rewrite that chapter, right? And you may say, I've never done it before. Then write it. And then do it. This is your faith journey. This is your opportunity to live the full to the overflows, to establish God's perfect plan in your life, and to be this billboard that's shining so bright. Rihanna, y'all listen to her, says it, bright like a diamond. That here you are, that some of us may have started out as cold, but the pressure and the pushing on it is establishing you to be able to sparkle and to shine. So I want you to rewrite. I want you to forge a new path. This conversation, go back and listen to the podcast and say, okay, this is how I get to establish this new book. And so what I need you to understand in all of this, don't allow yourself to be stuck in this narrative. Even if you're a mom that says, hey, and now I got my kids out of the nest, and what do I do now? What I'm telling you is it's time for you to rewrite. Before we close this episode, can I say this? I want to bring this home in a real way, because rewriting your story isn't a cute phrase. It's a motivational quote. It's something that your rewriting your story can look like. Because I want you to be motivated, but I want you to actually do something. Standing in the middle of chapters that you never asked to write. I talked to you about it recently. My family was walking through a particular chapter. My brother was facing a health challenge, a real one. And that kind that comes in waves. Just when you think you've made it through one attack, then another one shows up, and another appointment, and another opportunity for God to show his power, and another moment where you realize how frail life can try to look like. But God has given us the ability to be bold and bigger and strong. And when you watch someone you love fight like that, it catches and it changes how you see things. It forces you to ask, what story am I going to tell with the time that I have? What story am I going to tell with the adversity that has tried to come against my voice. It will try to write the narrative for you. It will try to tell you this and that. And you have to make a decision that I'm not going to allow that narrative to be taught. But faith reminds us that circumstances don't get the final edit. God does. And I want to tell you today, wherever you may be, you know, my brother was fighting. You may be in your own fight. You may be in your own draft. But this is not an opportunity to allow anything to break your spirit. But wake up with this new intensity and this new drive to rewrite. Pick up your pen again. Pick up your drive again. Pick up your desire again. Pick up your faith. And let's accomplish goals, assignments that require the discipline and the persistence to understand, yeah, we're in the writing business. I tell you today, stop pretending, stop, but make a decision that I am getting ready to produce this book without hesitation. I'm going to produce it with faith. I'm going to produce it with hunger. And some chapters of your life may felt like an attack after an attack, but here's what I'm learning in real time. Attack does not mean defeat. And pressure does not equal that you're going to have to fail it all. And difficulty does not mean the story's over. Sometimes those moments are the greatest chapters that show the comeback, show the power of the resilience of my faith that says, you might have been trying to overwhelm me, but I'm not going to be behind. I'm not going to be stuck. I'm going to be standing because I'm growing, I'm moving, and I'm watching my faith show how powerful my God is. So, in this moment, I want you to listen to me. Go ahead, write the chapter, write the book. Do it with faith. And remember, you can rewrite, do a new narrative. This has been the Pink Pulpit Podcast, the gospel according to her. That's right. This is real life meets real faith. Thank you for allowing me to take this faith journey with you. Thank you for allowing me to speak into your life and to tell you, pick up the pen and let's write again. Remember, life is a gift. Make the best of yours and always live it in faith. I'll see you next time. I'm Lady Nicole.